Let's dive into May 2025. A tantalizing rumor began to circulate. You might have heard it, Ford Motor Company. Yes, Ford, allegedly shutting down all US production, moving operations overseas, disappearing. And the supposed culprit? Donald Trump's tariffs. A bold, dramatic claim. If true, it would be monumental. But spoiler alert, it mostly wasn't. The story spread like wildfire. People were understandably worried. We're talking American jobs, the economy, the iconic blue oval. Gone? Social media platforms exploded. Panic buttons were hit. Headlines screamed variations of "Trump freaks out." It was a narrative crafted for maximum clicks. And boy, did it get them. Trump and tariffs. They go together like, well, Trump and tariffs. His America First stance was well known. Ford is a symbol of American manufacturing strength. It was the perfect recipe for a viral misinformation cocktail. People were already anxious about trade wars. So, the story found fertile ground. The core of the accusation was straightforward. Trump's tariffs made US production too costly for Ford. Let's dig deeper. When a giant like Ford supposedly collapses, you'd expect a lot of noise. Major press conferences, alarmed official statements, total chaos. Instead, Ford was mostly silent at first. Business seemed to be going on as usual. This silence was the first major red flag. Sometimes, what's not said speaks volumes. A corporate giant doesn't just disappear quietly. Ford has discussed tariffs before. They increase costs. They complicate operations. Ford has publicly acknowledged these challenges. They adapt. That's what large companies do when faced with new regulations. They don't just shut down their entire US operation overnight. That would be, to say the least, an extreme reaction. So, where was the proof of this US shutdown? Fact-checking websites like Snopes investigated. They searched, they inquired, they looked for credible sources, and they found basically nothing. No reputable news outlets were reporting a total US Ford shutdown. The story seemed to exist only in the more speculative corners of the internet. Instead, Ford continues to operate major plants in the United States. They are still investing in American facilities, especially in electric vehicles. Ford is pouring billions into EV production right here. The dramatic rumor simply didn't match Ford's observable actions. So, how did this narrative about Ford fleeing start? The main culprits seem to be AI-generated videos. Yes, artificial intelligence, crafting fake news. YouTube played a major role in spreading these falsehoods. These videos were made to appear somewhat believable. They used dramatic voiceovers, urgent, alarming language. Some even imitated the style of news reports. Clever and very deceitful. These fake videos garnered millions of views. Millions. And here's the kicker. Often, no clear disclaimers. No little warning saying, hey, this is fiction. This is a huge issue. Content created by algorithms, presented as absolute fact. People shared it, believed it. The platform algorithms, bless their hearts, may have even helped. Promoting viral content, regardless of its accuracy. A digital wildfire of pure, unadulterated nonsense. This Ford incident is a stark warning about AI in the information ecosystem. It's becoming easier and easier to create convincing fakes. For many people, it's hard to tell what's real anymore. This erodes trust. Donald Trump was a strong advocate for tariffs. He was very fond of them, much like a child loves ice cream. Steel tariffs, aluminum tariffs, tariffs on Chinese imports. He saw them as a magic wand. Wave it, and US jobs would return. Economists had a different perspective. Terms like counterproductive and damaging. But he was the president, so tariffs were implemented. The auto industry felt the impact. Thousands of parts sourced from all over the globe. Tariffs raised costs for Ford, GM, and others. These costs had to be absorbed. Consumers ended up paying more for cars, or company profits took a hit. Often, it was a combination of both. Ford has been outspoken about the effects. Tariffs cost them significantly. Estimates run into the billions of dollars. Even for a giant like Ford, tariffs created financial strain. Adjustments were necessary, but abandoning U.S. production was not an option. Section 5. Borderline drama. Trump's tariff threats against Canada. It wasn't just China feeling the heat from tariffs. Oh no, our friendly neighbors to the north, Canada, also felt the pressure. At one point, President Trump seriously considered doubling tariffs, specifically on Canadian steel and aluminum. This would have raised them to a staggering 50%. This wasn't a minor adjustment, it was a significant escalation. Remember, Canada is one of America's largest trading partners. This was playing with fire. Why target Canada? That's a question many asked. It seemed to be part of a broader, aggressive trade strategy, using tariffs as leverage, as a negotiating tool. Sometimes, long-standing allies were treated like economic rivals. This, unsurprisingly, created significant friction. It's hard to maintain a friendly poker game when one player keeps threatening to flip the table and set the cards on fire. The potential economic fallout of a 50% tariff was huge for both the US and Canadian economies. The auto industry, again, would have been severely impacted. It's deeply integrated across the US-Canada border. Parts and components crisscross that border constantly. A 50% tariff would have been a body blow. Jobs would have been at risk. Section 6. Averting the crisis. How US-Canada cooperation prevailed. The US was teetering on the edge. New, hefty tariffs on Canada. Tensions were at an all-time high. Businesses were in a state of suspense. Then, a breakthrough. The storm clouds began to clear, slightly. The plan to double tariffs on Canadian metals was withdrawn. But what caused this sudden change? It boiled down to diplomacy and a crucial concession. A bit of give and take. Ontario was central to the resolution. Specifically, Ontario Premier Doug Ford. No relation to the car company, by the way. Ontario agreed to suspend a 25% electricity surcharge. This surcharge had been impacting US businesses. Removing it was a significant gesture from Canada. It opened the door for de-escalation, a way for both sides to step back from the edge. The official announcement came from Peter Navarro. He was a White House trade advisor at the time. Navarro indicated the decision was made to ease trade tensions. It was a rare moment of stepping back from the brink. A collective sigh of relief was heard, from businesses and economists, and probably a few relieved diplomats too. Section 7. Economic echoes. Tariffs, stability, and political choices. The looming threat and implementation of tariffs had far-reaching impacts, extending beyond specific sectors or bilateral ties. Financial markets, for example, dislike unpredictability. President Trump's tariff announcements often caused tremors on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the Nasdaq Composite. They would rise and fall with each new trade-related tweet. Investor confidence is fragile, easily shaken, and tariff battles are like a storm for that confidence. Adding to the economic unease, Trump sometimes speculated publicly about the potential for an economic recession, which, if you're aiming to soothe markets, is generally counterproductive. Some notable figures, like Senator Rand Paul, directly associated tariffs with market declines. He claimed they were dragging down the economy, fueling recession fears. It sparked a heated debate. Even within the Republican Party, not everyone supported the tariff approach. This highlights a crucial point. Political decisions have tangible economic repercussions. This is not a game. Tariffs, trade wars, even the rhetoric around them. They affect businesses. They impact workers. They hit consumers in their wallets. Economic stability is a valuable asset. Section 8. Truth in the trenches. Why fact-checking matters more than ever. The entire Ford shutdown rumor. It should be a serious wake-up call. Misinformation isn't a harmless prank. It's a powerful force. It spreads at lightning speed, especially online. It can cause real panic. It can distort public perception. And it thrives in already polarized environments, where people are quick to believe the worst about the other side. This makes us all vulnerable. This is where fact-checking organizations come in. Groups like Snopes and many others. They are essential. They do the unglamorous work of digging through claims. They verify sources. They provide evidence, or lack thereof. They help ordinary people distinguish fact from fiction, truth from nonsense. In an age of information overload, they are a lifeline. Seriously, if you value their work, support them. They are fighting the good fight. But it's not just their job. We all have a role to play. Think before you click that share button. Pause. Check the source. Is it credible? Or is it totally real news definitely.biz? Be skeptical of claims that seem too wild, too sensational, especially if they perfectly confirm all your existing biases.